One of the things you can do to make your work easier, we feel that the 8 reshape handles is the key. When you have 8 reshape handles turned on, you can see what's happening in your object info palette. This box indicator, these dimensions and locations are a great way to manipulate things. For example, if I want to put that at the center, I can easily click, type in 00, and there it is. This is the page center indicator. If we go up here to preference, this is another thing that is a plus. Show internal origin. We also have the rulers turned on right now, although these are all available as toggles. You can turn them on and off as needed. Once this is on, you don't necessarily need to come in here and reset it. The reason we like to use that internal origin marker, it creates a visual that is logical. What do I mean by that? When you do a flyover, for example, and your item is way out on the edge of your drawing, it looks kind of cattywampus. You're looking from a strange view, a strange angle, as opposed to something that seems a little bit more logical and level. The norm for showing a client an example might be a store layout or an event planning in front of a stage. You want it to look like it is real, and you want it to be on the level. You don't want it to be kind of skew like you're watching some 1960s Batman cartoon. Getting items to that center point can be a little confusing if you double click up here on this little point at the corner, or this is available through your pull down menu. You might need to set the user origin to the internal origin. What do I mean by that? If you have imported a drawing or inherited a drawing, sometimes they're not the same, and therefore if you draw something and you want to move it to 00, it becomes something that is a puzzle. You'll change this to say 00, and it'll move off to the corner somewhere. That said, let's look at a drawing here. This is an alcove we're creating for a storefront. This is going to go where a radio station has their broadcasting in the tower. This will be on the main floor. You'll have a presenter and a guest doing a podcast. Video clips playing, and people from outside will look in. If you've been in New York or Chicago, you know where these exist. By having this at 00, you can turn it with the flyover tool, and it looks very logical. It sits at a point where the rotation and the angle and the view and the sense of the 3D world are excellent. They convey to the client. For example, here we have this piece of carpet that we want to put underneath. And if we simply go to a plan view, type in 00, except you notice that this is an extrude. With an extrude, there's no box indicator. Here's another example how the group mode lets you change that. I'm going to say group. Now it's still the same item, nothing changed. If we render it, it looks the same. If we ungroup it, it looks the same. So it's a group, we can see in the object info palette. Now the box indicator is there. We see some of the same dimensions here. Again, if we ungroup, we see the same numbers. We're picking the center. That's the center of this object, and we're going to simply type in 00, and we now know where it is in the world. We can say ungroup if we want to ungroup it, and it's back to being what it was, an extrude, except it's at a place in the geometry that will better serve us. So we're going to use a save view to go back. This view looks nicer. We want to adjust this curved backer, this little platform and backer. And you notice the chairs are kind of hanging out. We like the chair arrangement. If we double click on this, we see that it's a group. If we double click on the group and edit it, you can also get that from the pull down menu under modify. There also are ways to say, look at what's around this group. In the mode bar, you can have an option, show other objects while in the edit mode. So you can see the carpet kind of is grayed and then it goes away. Now keep in mind that that's only one level up. It's on the same layer. I often say it's one layer up. mentally, that's a term that works. I should really say one level. And if you have multiple levels of group or symbol or layers or classes, you don't always see all of the objects that are available. But we're going to turn this off so we can just look at this group. This is a group. Inside of the group are other things. Here's another group. If I double click on this to edit it, you see that I have group inside of a group. We're going to say ungroup to this, and we now have several symbols. So having symbols mean they're not going to change their physical geometry, but we can change the arrangement. So what's the easy way to make this platform and arched alcove wider? Let's go to the top plan view. Let's take a look at what it is. It's an extrude. We could easily come in here. We see that the extrude is 2000. Now, if we say edit to the extrude, we can see that this originally started as a piece of geometry that was in the front view. So if we go to the front view, we see that it's a polyline. We see that it has extruded in this direction. We can see that it comes this way. So now if we go up here to the top plan and we pick this, we notice the chairs are hanging out on each side. So we want the extrude to expand in two directions. But if we simply come in here and type in another number, it goes in one direction. So that means we need to change the extrude and then we need to move it. But an easier way, we're going to undo this, is to make it a group. Now this works because in the top plan view, we can see the box indicator. If we go to a different view, we don't see the box indicator. So again, we're going to go back to this top plan view. We see the box indicator. We're going to pick the center. Now you notice there's two dimensions here. The Y happens to coincide with what the extrude actually was. Here's the extrude dimension. If we change that, it moves away from where the original polyline was. Now by making it a group, we're going to change this and it's going to go in two directions. So we've done two things in one shot by making it a group. We've changed the extrude and we can edit the group here and look at the extrude. The extrude's now 3000. We've also kept it centered on the chair and tables. If we go to this alcove view, we notice now that this is wider, but still centered on this carpet representing the available space and where these chair and table arrangement, two chairs and a little coffee table, are with the monitor. So what's the takeaway on this? If we have an extrude that's created originally in the front view, we can make it into a group, go to the top plan view, look at that group, and change dimensions internally here. You notice that this is a group of several things. If we change dimensions again in here, two things happen. The extrude changes, but also the group inside changed its spacing. Now, the icons themselves that represent the chair and the table did not change because they're symbols, but the three items here that are grouped together changed their relationship. The table stayed centered, the group stayed centered, the extrude changed its dimension, and the monitor remained where it was. The monitor on the wall there is also a symbol. So if we go back to this and we change this back again, you're going to get the same effect. So what is the takeaway again? Making a group out of an extrude. As we can see here, this is an extrude, but we made it into a group. Just as an extrude, we don't get a box indicator. Extrude always goes in a direction away from where it originated. Notice that if I put a negative sign in here, it's going to go the opposite way. But it starts with this fundamental shape and works in one direction. As a group, you get this box indicator, and we can change in two directions because it's a group. Using a group has some great advantages if you're doing like a layout or a sketch and you're trying to get some information on what fits and what doesn't fit before you actually need to do detailing and be precise with what you're going to estimate, construct, or install, etc., etc. So the group is the key. It's available from your modify menu here. Group, ungroup. You can also see edit group, exit group, top level. You notice exit group and top level are grayed out. If I go into one of these groups, then you'll see exit group and top level. Those are also available depending on where you are from your contextual menu. I hope this helps with your workflow. There are many ways to work in VectorWorks. That's how I drew it. Thanks for watching.